To find the slope between 2 points on a line, you do rise over run. So slope in words is rise over run. Rise divided by run. Rise is how much you go up or down. Run is how much you go left or right. If the rise is positive, it goes up. If the rise is negative, it will go down. So we're going to pick 2 points on the line, like 0, 1, and we could also use 1, 3. So locate 2 points, and then you're going to count and do rise over run. So we go up 1, 2. So our rise is 2, and we typically use m for slope. And then we go to the right 1. So our rise was 2, our run was 1. If you can divide that and get a whole number, or I should say an integer, you should do that. Sometimes you'll have fractions that you can simplify as well. Again, find 2 points on the line and do rise over run. If I start at 3, negative 3, we would go up 1, and then we would go to left 1, 2, 3. Or you could start at the 0, negative 2 and go down 1, which would have a negative 1, and then to the right 1, 2, 3. So it doesn't matter which point you go with, you still have the same slope. If a fraction has 1 negative sign in it, then it's negative, so negative 1/3. Typically you see the negative signs out to the side of it for your final answer. Notice that that line is going downhill from left to right. That happens all the time on negative slopes. On the previous one, it went uphill from left to right. That corresponds to a positive slope. Alright, this time we have 2 ordered pairs. We're going to label our ordered pairs x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. And then we'll substitute into that slope formula. So we have m equals y sub 2, which is 1, minus from the formula, and then y sub 1 is 4. On the bottom we'll have 7 minus 3. So our numerator gives us negative 3, our denominator gives us 4. If there's one negative sign, then it's negative, so it doesn't matter whether you have the negative on top or on bottom or out to the side. We'll label our points x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. And we'll substitute into that slope formula. On the top we'll have y sub 2, which is negative 3, minus y sub 1, which is 6. On the bottom you should have negative 5 minus a negative 2. Now when you see that minus a negative 2, if you want to, you can go ahead and rewrite it as plus a positive 2. So you can write the denominator as negative 5 plus 2. On the top we'll subtract that, we get negative 9. On the bottom we add that, we get negative 3. Negative divided by a negative is positive, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we get positive 3 as our final answer. Again, a negative divided by a negative is positive. We'll label our points x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. We'll plug it into the slope formula. On top we should have 4 minus 4. On the bottom, negative 3 minus 7. So we get 0 over negative 10. If you have 0 on the top, your final answer is going to be 0. Anytime 0 is on the top of the fraction, the final answer is 0. That corresponds with a horizontal line. Again, we'll label our points x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Substitute into that slope formula. Y sub 2 is on top, 7 minus from the formula, 1, and then negative 3 minus a negative 3 is on the bottom. So this time we get 6 over 0. Negative 3 minus a negative 3 is negative 3 plus 3, which is 0. If you type that in your calculator, it should say some type of an error. Now if you have a cheap calculator, it'll say E and a 0 over here, but we're going with the E. This is an error. We cannot divide by 0, and we call that undefined. There's no definition for division by 0. It's undefined. That corresponds with a vertical line. If you think about skiing, you can't ski a vertical if it's straight up and down. Again, we'll label our points and then substitute into that slope formula. So we have 1 minus a negative 1 on top, or 1 plus 1, which will give us 2. And then on the bottom, negative 3 minus a negative 3. So we get 2 over negative 4. If you divide both of them by 2, you get negative 1/2. Final answer is negative. You typically see that out to the side. Label your points x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Substitute in. We have 0 minus 4 over negative 2 minus 4. So on the top we get negative 4. On the bottom, negative 6. They both divide by negative 2, and that will simplify to 2/3. Negative divided by negative is positive. So our final answer is positive 2/3. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Another phrase for slope is average rate of change. So sometimes you'll see that.